The date is August 22nd, 2020, and we are at the Rings Road Railroad crossing in Dublin, Ohio. The reason why we are here on this day is to catch a very special train, CSX Q311, manifest traffic from Russell, Kentucky to Avon, Indiana. The train itself wasn't out of the ordinary, but the power pulling it was something to behold on this day. Before Q311 even showed himself, we met and talked to a very friendly CSX track inspector as he was waiting to get back onto the rails after Q311 passed. In the midst of all this, Q311 smoked his way up the hill as he passes Rings Road and all of us waiting here at the tracks. This right here is the reason why we came out for Q311 on this day. There were 4 engines on the head end, 1 on the end. Leading the pack is CSX 3374, a GE ET44AH, followed by a pair of PRLX NS SD70 Aces 4079 and 4048, then followed by UP 5283, a GE ES40DC. And the DPU on Q311 on this day was CSX 3434, a GE ET44AH. So I thought this train was a pretty good catch, not just because of the fact that it had a DPU on this train, which was the first I've seen on this line, and it had my first taste of Ferromex power and Mexican trains in general. After seeing the Ferromexes, we then move a few days later on to August 25th, 2020. And as we were driving over the south end of Buckeye Yard, since the new Trabue Road overpass is now open, we find an NS yard job that's moving cars around the yard, being headed by NS 3408, an EMD SD40-2, which was built in 1979 as Conrail 6488. Norfolk Southern acquired the SD40-2 in 1999 when the split up of the Conrail occurred, and has renumbered 6488 to 3408. In 2020, it proudly wears the Norfolk Southern horsehead paint scheme, and 3408 is still making its mark on Norfolk Southern to this day. After seeing that yard job, we then moved to the very next day on August 26th, 2020. And as you can see here, as we were going over the Trabue Road overpass once again, we find another NS yard job that's moving cars around the yard, specifically moving 2 wood chip cars this time around, and it had a different locomotive on the head end. As we zoom in here, the locomotive's identity is revealed to be NS 3520, an EMD SD40-2, which was built in 1978 for the Frisco Railroad as 957. Then it became Burlington Northern 6847 when the Burlington Northern gobbled up the Frisco Railroad. In 1995, when the Burlington Northern and Santa Fe Railroads merged to create BNSF, it became BNSF 6847. It kept its original road number from the BN days. After serving on BNSF, it was sold to Helm Leasing, and it kept its road number 6847 and continued its service as an HLCX lease unit. Then in late November 2013 through June of 2014, Norfolk Southern acquired 80 SD40-2s from Helm Leasing, and 6847 is one of them. And as you can see here in 2020, it proudly wears Norfolk Southern's horsehead paint scheme. And as you can see here, it's actually hiding something. From this photo here, the paint on the nose on the short hood doesn't look too good. It looks like that it chipped off in two places, which looks like two teeth. So that's why I think it was hiding something. Anyways, let's move on, shall we? After seeing that, we then moved to August 28th, 2020, and as we were coming home from Buckeye Yard, we see the headlights of a westbound CSX train on the Scottslong Secondary. We quickly turn around, get set up, and not a moment too soon, the train crosses the road, which ended up being Q311. After seeing that, we then moved to the very next day on August 29th, 2020, and we are in the Linworth Plaza next to the CSX Columbus subdivision in Worthington, Ohio. The reason why we are here is because a K-Series train, K447, was coming towards Columbus with CP power, and when we got there, we already find a green signal and headlights coming from the north. As we watched the footage again, and totally ignoring the fact that I wasn't a big fan of how this shot turned out, there were two rebuilt CPs leading the train. Leading the pack is CP8162, a rebuilt GE AC4400 CWM, and in trail on this tanker train is CP7054, a rebuilt EMD SD70 ACU. This shot turned out to be a pity for me because it was the first one I've seen of this class, and I did not get a good look at it. Anyways, let's move on, shall we? After seeing that, we then moved to August 31st, 2020, and we are next to the Powell Road overpass in Powell, Ohio, next to the Norfolk Southern Sandusky District. The reason why we are here is because a funeral train was coming up the Sandusky District that had 15 locomotives on it, including 9 retired SD70Ms, so we decided to go out and see if we can catch our final glimpses of the SD70Ms on Norfolk Southern. When we got there were headlights coming from the south, but no, it was not the funeral train. It was a very short and very fast NS29G, led by a solo ES40DC. After 29G flew its way north, we then moved to the Cook Road Railroad crossing. And after some time of waiting for the funeral train to come up, by the way, its symbol was 956, it did come up, but stopped just short of the crossing for a crew change. But luckily for us, the crew didn't take long to show up. And after the necessary precautions were taken, the dispatcher gave them the green, and the train was underway once again. Final ride for those 9 SD70Ms there, guys. Probably going to the scrapper's torch. After seeing the funeral train, we then moved to September 4th, 2020, and we are next to the CSX Columbus subdivision in Worthington, Ohio. The initial reason why we came out on this day is because a tanker train was coming towards Columbus with 2 CSX SD40-2s and a Canadian National C40-8, but unfortunately we missed that one. but there was another train that was coming up behind it which was just as good. The train in question was CSX Q635, making a rare daytime appearance with 4 locomotives on the head end. Leading the train is CSX 5327, a GE ES40DC, which has the Western Maryland Heritage stickers on the sides of the nose. Following 5327 was CSX 160 and 492, both GE AC 4400 CWs, with 160 being in YN3B paint and 492 being in the standard YN3 paint scheme. The 4th unit on Q635 happens to be the rarest out of the bunch, Genesee & Wyoming's New England Central 3809, a heavily rebuilt EMD GP40CU. I have no idea what it's doing in Ohio, but since it was in Ohio, I thought it was a pretty good catch. Not only because we got to see the sticker engine once again, we get to see a Genesee & Wyoming locomotive that is not on home rails. After seeing Q635, we then moved to September 6, 2020, and we are in Kyleville, Ohio, next to the CSX Scottslong Secondary. We are here today to catch CSX Q147, double-stack traffic from Columbus, Ohio to North Baltimore, Ohio. Nothing too special or out of the ordinary, we just decided to go out and catch it and see what we can get. After seeing that, we then moved to September 11th, 2020, and we returned to Kyleville, Ohio for the same reason we were out last time, to catch CSX Q147, double-stack traffic from Columbus, Ohio to North Baltimore, Ohio. Also, September 11th, 2020 marks the 19th anniversary of 9/11, September 11th, 2001, when our country was attacked in 3 different states, New York, Washington, and Pennsylvania. And to the first responders, family members of the dead, and the ones who died on that day, my thoughts and prayers go out to you as we go through this struggle as a country together. Let's take a moment of silence to remember that day and those who lost their lives that day. This is terrible. After seeing that, we then moved to the very next day on September 12th, 2020, and we are at Control Point Tweed on the Norfolk Southern Sandusky District, right in the backyard of a well-known CSX engineer from the Central Ohio Railfanning Group, Engineer Kevin Tweed. The reason why we are here is because one of our members was celebrating his birthday here and he invited us all here. And pretty much the entire crew from the Central Ohio Railfanning Group was here. And we got to see a lot of good stuff on this day. So let's see what we got. The first train we saw on this day was a Norfolk Southern northbound grain train as it passes the clearing that leads to his backyard and the Control Point Tweed Railstream rail cam. And the engineer also gave us a shave and a haircut as he passed us. After the grain train passed, the birthday boy, YouTube friend Porter Productions, came up to us and showed us some new models of his. including a custom-painted Athearn Blue Box SD45 painted for the Kanawha River Railroad. As our light was rapidly fading away, NS train 19M pulled up, but stopped short of Horseshoe Road to take a crew change, and while that was happening, its counterpart train 18M flew its way south. I didn't get a good shot of it because, well, our light was pretty much gone by this point. After 18M flew its way through the darkness, 19M was able to get the go after getting some precautions done by the crew and getting the all clear by the dispatcher. I felt one of the others tap me on the shoulder, and as I turned around, a grain train flew its way south out of nowhere, symboled 56W, with an SD70 Ace leading. Unfortunately, we would later figure out that 56W was going to block our views of 19M and the SD70 ACC that was leading it. Oh well, you can't catch them all, I guess. As our light continued to take the downward spiral for the worst, two more trains met us here. Northbound Autorack Train 29G and southbound Coke Train 423.
Here comes The northbound!
Oh, here comes that southbound. That was great. What? That was really weird.
That was short.
That was super weird. Anyways, here's the southbound, guys. After those two trains met each other, we decided to call it a night and head home. Also, we come to the end of yet another video. As you can see, from the time school started to this point, we got to see a lot of good stuff. Mostly foreign power from CSX and a bunch of other stuff. Anyways, hit the like button down below, leave a comment and tell me what you think of it, subscribe to my channel, and tap the bell button to be notified when I get a new video out. Also subscribe to everyone that was in the video: Ohio Train Vlogs, Buckeye State Railfan, Delaware County Railfan, Porter Productions, Central Ohio Railfan, and many others that were with me at one point in the video. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.